Welcome to Herizon Podcast, Episode 9, a podcast empowering women to heal, overcome trauma, embrace change. And through our community, we strive to inspire women to create a future where they lead with love, confidence, courage, helping break boundaries and reach new horizons. Hey, everybody. So today it's going to be myself. And on today's episode, we want to talk about post-breakups. What comes after a breakup, whether that be a divorce, a relationship of 2-3 years. I come from a relationship of 13 years. On the 28th of this year, I am going to be single 2 years now. Yay! And like I said, if you guys have kept up with our podcast, you've known that I came from a very unhealthy, abusive 13-year relationship. And this healing journey after the relationship has been a roller coaster. And I just wanted to, I feel like with the career that I do, I am a lash artist, entrepreneur in the beauty industry, and I talk to a lot of women. And there's some patterns that I noticed between all of us after breaking up. And I wanted to kind of touch base on that and talk about, women after a relationship, how vulnerable we are. I want to talk about how important it is to take time to get to know yourself after a relationship, things like that. So we're going to see how this goes. By myself. I'm nervous, guys. I'm nervous. Don't worry. We'll overcome this. Right, Marlon? We're going to overcome this.
Yes, we will.
So bear with me. But first off, I would like to start off with, asking, I guess, what is love? And the reason why I want to talk about that is because I want people to understand that a breakup is someone that you gave time to. And that is someone that I'm sure, especially if you're in a long-term relationship, that's someone that you thought you would spend your life with. Everybody has their own definition of love, to be honest with you. But I just want you to think about what is love, because that is how serious a breakup is after too. People are out here dating. Everybody wants to find a soulmate. Everybody wants to find a husband, a wife. And I don't think that a lot of people take thought into what comes with the relationship and the word of love. It can be mental, it can be psychological, it has a lot of different impacts in our lives. And I don't think people really talk about the post-relationship and what comes with that, the good, the bad, all of it, right? And I feel like a lot of women also, because they're so vulnerable, tend to go from one relationship to another, or maybe getting caught up in similar relationships because they don't take the time to kind of get to know themselves, know the patterns, know the behaviors, know the flags, things like that. And if you kept up with our podcast, you kind of know that we kind of talked a little bit about all that. And I'm very so much into self-love and self-care and prioritizing yourself. And hopefully in this episode, we can kind of break that down. So like I said, that person, love, how impactful is love? That person that has that title of boyfriend, fiance, whatever it may be, right? That's a big title that they carry. And with that comes a lot of responsibilities, and it comes with a lot of commitment within the relationship. And I kind of talked already about like what that it comes with emotional impact, psychological impact, physical impact, things like that. And what I mean by emotional impact, it can be such as, you grow together. You're giving somebody emotions, feelings that you don't give just anybody else. You're giving apart from time. You put a lot of emotion into this person. You put a lot of you become vulnerable. You feel safe. They make you feel that way. There's a reason why you're there, right? And psychological impact is, learning to navigate the hardships in life together. As a union, having a supportive partner working as a team, not as competitors, things like that. That is mental health. There's just a few of the things that I thought about. Physical impact, intimacy. You are giving somebody that you're giving something special to someone. You're giving your physical being to somebody, and they're getting to know every part of you. That's intimacy. That leads to also emotional and psychological as women. That's what normally we want us with the man, I believe, most of us, right? And all that, depending on the person that you're with, can lead to various things on that. When you fall in love with someone, is remembering that you want to share life with that person. And not only life, but you're also possibly wanting to start a family. That is, you are combining your values, your morals, what you guys believe in, your traditions together. So I feel like love is nowadays, we're not really thinking, how would I describe this? That love is not just something you say. There comes a lot to love. It's a person, but there's so many things that come to it. It's not just attraction. It's not just hearing the right things. It's actions that come with all of that as well. It comes with, there's a lot, depending on what your definition of love is, right? But what I want to talk about is after the separation. After the relationship comes the adjustment of your new life, right? It comes the adjustment of you're alone now. If you are used to having someone always there, you're going to feel more alone, right? It's not someone that you can just sit here and call or text. You have to adjust to that, adjusting to the separation of what may come with, if you have businesses together or if you have children, if you have pets, those are also part of the family. How is the communication after? How was the separation? Is it messy? Is it amicable? Is it respectful? Are we both understanding that, it depends. There's different breakups, right? But I think that as women, we don't take the time to process the breakup, not just the heartbreak, but what comes with all of that. And I think that we should give ourselves time to adjust to our new life. If we really think about it, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship, right? You have built a life with this person and you have become a unity, a one, us. Who are you outside of that? Who are you outside of girlfriend or wife or mother or fiance, or who are you individually? And personally, from my experience, I realized that my titles were what I was in my relationship. I was a fiance, I was a mother, and I was an entrepreneur. That's all I was. And after my separation, it was kind of like a question of who am I? What do I like? I didn't even know myself, to be honest with you. The last time I was single was when I was like 19. 19 to me being in my 30s, I'm a totally different person. You've been through so many other things that have allowed you to grow, right? And this is me speaking long-term relationships, that you lose yourself. You lose yourself in the relationship. You lose yourself in what your daily routines are. And I think that, as women, we have to take the time to, and this is why we preach, pour into yourself, prioritize yourself, put yourself first. Because if you really think about it, you've put everybody else before you for who knows how many years, right? You've made this person that's supposed to be the love, or your boyfriend or whatever, the center of your life. That person does hold a big part of your life. Who are you outside of that? What do you have hobbies? Do you literally it's going to the little things that you probably would never thought of, right? and adjusting to the new schedule. For me, as a single full-time mom now, I had to really think of my new roles. And my new roles, apart from provider, mother, which I've had, right? It was protector. As a woman who's used to having a man by her side as a protector, even though we didn't have that type of relationship, you still feel that sense of safety somewhat. And I remember feeling the first time ever of where it hit me, where I had to fall into protector mode for my two daughters. And processing that was like, this is life now. This is single mom, new norm, right? Where I have to be able to protect my children and walk in that at all times, not just as a woman, but as a mother of two little girls, children, right? And I don't think that a lot of women take the time to think about things like that. We just go through the motions. We're just on autopilot. We're just, right? And you get to sit down and you don't think that stuff. You think of the separation. You think of, the heartbreak. You think of everything else besides yourself. And I realized that allowing myself to get to know myself has really changed and shifted my mindset. As a mother, as a woman, as a person, all around, right? And I feel like, not only all of that, but women are really vulnerable after a relationship. You have to think about it. You're full of all these different emotions, heartache, confusion. Did I do the right thing? I miss him. Maybe not. There's so many different emotions that we go through. It's a roller coaster. We're spiraling. We're happy. We're not. It's so many. And if you sit there and really think about it and be in your feelings, you're a mess. So imagine how vulnerable you are. And with that vulnerability comes a lot of decisions that you don't think logical on, you think emotional on. So as women, we tend to think emotionally, not really logically, right? And I think that as we get older, we mature and we realize that our emotions sometimes don't guide us in the right direction. Especially young women that get into relationships at a young age. We go for, how would I say? We don't look at what really matters in a partner. What we look at is he nice to me? Does he tell me nice things? He opens my door, like things like that. They text me, they give me attention. You don't really think, as you get older, we become wiser and we realize what really matters. And we don't really think about what truly matters, which is, are they a support system? Is that somebody that I feel safe with? It could be different things, right? Is that someone that I can trust? As you get older, you realize that. As you go through more hardships in life, those experiences turn you into someone that makes you look at things like that, right? And like I said previously, as young women, we don't look at those things, especially if, in our home, I come from, my mother's a single mom. I didn't have a father figure, and I didn't have an example either of what a healthy relationship is. So we don't think of things like that when we're younger. And now that I'm older and I have two daughters of my own, I really talk to them about what they should look for in a partner when they get older and how they should be treated, especially because I stayed in something for so long and they witnessed unhealthy love that I emphasize how a man should treat a woman and how a woman should act with the man, right? Because it goes both ways. It can't just be a give, give, give. And I think that women after a relationship, and it takes a while for us women to heal, are very vulnerable, especially within the first year or so. Who am I to tell you when to start dating, not start dating, right? But from my experience, give yourself time. Give yourself, what do you like? Do you know who you are? I remember not even having a personality. I remember not even laughing. It's crazy at the little things that make you who you are. And I remember the first time ever that I was like, dang, I feel like my old self, but obviously older, wiser, been through a lot more things. And I remember laughing for the first time, which is so sad. And I mean, genuinely like laughing about things where I was happy. That's crazy, right? But I think as women, we need to really take time to ourselves and work on ourselves, heal ourselves. Healing you're never going to stop healing. You're just going to learn, right? We've said this previously before, but it's getting to know when you're vulnerable, getting to know when you're emotional, because a lot of us women, especially during those hard times of the separation or the breakup, we are very emotional, we are uncontrolled, and we think nothing but emotions. And think about it, you have a million emotions going through you. And you don't give yourself time to think straight. And I promise you, those emotions will pass. And you'll get to a point where you think a little more logical and you're like, yeah, I was just off emotion. For me, I'm a mom. So I not only was it an adjustment for myself, right? My new life, I'm single, I'm free, and I had to adjust to being alone. And that was probably hard for me because I did become codependent on that person and it was hard. So I can imagine if it was me, now I had to deal with that times my daughters and their emotions. So it's important to take time to yourself. And if you have children, cater to them and their needs as well. How are they feeling? Because imagine if you're a wreck, how are they feeling? Confused? Where's dad? Where's mom? Why aren't they together? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So giving yourself time to process everything and adjust to this new life of being a single parent, you need time for that. You don't add any more than what you have going on already, right? You're completely removing yourself from a life that you had with someone else, and you are trying to figure out your individuality as a person, but also now you're creating a life just you or your children or you or your dog, cat, whatever it may be, right? So take that into account. As women, we really don't take the time to process. So what I realized is that in talking to a lot of women is that a lot of women, we are very codependent. We don't like to be alone. Well, let me phrase that because I love to be alone now, but I've learned to adjust to that, right? And let's be honest, if you really sit here and think about it, let's be realistic here. When you're alone, you're able to do as you please, when you please, at whatever time you please, with whoever you please. Alone doesn't always have to be lonely, right? Alone can be that you're able to, I don't know, have more dinner dates, create your own schedule, work around your job, work around your kids. Like, alone doesn't have to be sad. I think when women think like, I don't want to be alone or I need somebody, they think that they need to have someone there. But if you really think about it, what's wrong with being alone? You're able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, talk to whoever you want, without anybody telling you, without having you text somebody, with you having somebody to call someone. Like I think everything is on perspective. Taking the time to really get to know yourself means getting to also dissect your relationship, your previous relationship, getting to dissect what did you do? What didn't you do? What did that person do? What didn't they do? What did you like? What didn't you like? It's getting to literally from experience, dissect a relationship and figure out what made it work, what didn't make it work, and knowing if that's what you want in a future relationship or not. And if let's say that you go from one relationship to another, how you're going to carry that over, right? So it's going to be kind of like the same patterns, same behavior that you're bringing from there to now. And it's just going to continue. And not only that, but I think also maybe looking at all your relationships, do they have any patterns where there's similar things that you've done or that the person has done that maybe you may be attracted to? My thing is like getting to know your patterns, getting to know what you like in someone or don't like in someone, what you will accept now, especially when we're younger. We don't have those boundaries. We don't have what we want to, how we want to be speak to, or how we want to, be respected or taken care of, or whatever it may be. As we get older, we establish those. And it's crazy because if I could tell my younger self anything, it'd be like to look at absolutely everything. Look at their family history. Look at their, do they have hobbies? Do they have friends? Because that also tells you that they're able to be. What happened was in my relationship is we became so codependent. We didn't have no one else besides ourselves. And now I would say that's not something I would want, because I would want someone to have a social life, to have their own hobbies, to have their own individuality. I don't want them to rely on me and for me to provide them their happiness and their everything. Because a person's not always going to be there 100%. They have other things going on. And as soon as you let that person down, that's an excuse for them to go find it somewhere else. But it's because they've made you their everything. They've made you, I go for everything. And maybe some relationships do like that, where they want just each other. But from experience, it becomes unhealthy because that you're the center of their worlds. And if they're not happy, you're not happy. If you're not, it becomes unhealthy. Relationships like that after time I would say they don't work out, to be honest, because there's no identity outside of that relationship. And it just creates unhealthy behaviors in the relationship. Calling you 24/7, where are you at, location. I mean, let's be honest here. Is that something that you want to experience? Oh, why are you there? What took you so long? You didn't call me. That's unhealthy. That person, unhealthy dynamics for sure. So I think it's just getting to know all of that. And before stepping into dating, like I said, I don't have a time frame. Everybody's different. But when you're stepping into dating, you're vulnerable. You're barely getting to know yourself at whatever age. For example, me, I am 35. I barely started to get to know myself last year. What I like, what I don't like. I did go on dates, and I learned something from each date. The first date, let me tell you, I remember that like daylight. He was like my ex. He was exactly like my ex. I wanted to jump off the car. I'm not going to lie to you. Because I was vulnerable. I believed all the words that he was telling me. Everything sounded beautiful. Too good to be true. It was. He had a girlfriend. We're on a date. We're on a second date. And he definitely love bombed me. I didn't even see that. Okay. At that time, I didn't even know. This was back in February, I think, of last year, 2024. And I opened up myself to dating. I think he was like the second guy I had gone on a date with. And we just connected. He made me feel comfortable. I opened up about my situation. He knew that I got cheated on and, all of that. First date, I think we talked for like 7 hours. Okay. I hadn't opened up to no other man in 13 years. And even before that, if you think about it, I was young. Like, that does not count. Okay. So, second date, we make it to the second date, but he's love on me the whole time. It's, you're everything I wanted, et cetera, all these beautiful, nice things that I hadn't heard before because I was in a very unhealthy relationship. And as women, we have to sit here and think, this is crazy. Okay. Because you were in a relationship where if you broke up for a reason, right? It wasn't healthy or it just didn't work out anymore. You guys had you grew apart, things like that. There's a lack in the relationship, right? And in that lack of the relationship, there's a lot of things that weren't done that led to you leaving or that were done. For example, mine was abuse, cheating, everything. And so meeting a new person after my relationship, and mind you, I didn't start dating till after a year. So I gave myself a year, but in that year, my situation's crazy because I was in survival. So it's different. But to me, I started dating my second year, at the beginning of my second year. And I was like, I have a little bit more space. Let me try what's out there, right? What you don't understand is that as women, we didn't hear all these beautiful things before because we were in an unhealthy relationship or a relationship that just wasn't giving us anymore, right? So when a man comes in and tells you all these beautiful things at your most vulnerable, you're going to believe it because you haven't heard anything else besides your ex. And it wasn't very nice or it just wasn't what you wanted anymore, right? So we're going to believe everything. The smallest things like opening up a door or buying you flowers or taking you to dinner because maybe the previous person you were with didn't do that is a big deal to us. We're vulnerable. I'm sorry, but that should be a given. That should be a given. Okay. And we don't believe everything people say because actions prove more. And he was just talking, love bombing me the whole time. It felt good. It was the first person that I actually gave a chance to speak to after my relationship. Yes, I was vulnerable. I was barely starting my healing at the time. And believed everything he said. Second date, we're going on a date and this girl keeps calling him. And I remember this girl from our previous conversation, he had told me some big old lie. The point is, it ends up that it was his girlfriend that he was living with. I'm going to date with this person. He put me in a situation of being the other woman when he knew that I got cheated on in my previous relationship. Men ain't shit, by the way. But anyways, so what happened in that situation? I remember I was like, take me home. It was a whole shit show because I will not lie to you. It was like I was looking at my ex. He was spiraling. He was losing. He was emotions up and down. It was crazy. There was a moment where I was like, when am I going to get to my car? Because I don't feel like he wants to take me to my car. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. What did I get myself into? And I'm literally trying to keep calm, thinking of how to get out of the situation as I'm dealing with his emotions. And I'm thinking to myself, what did you do? That's literally your ex all over again. Like, what kind of people am I attracting? That's what I said. What am I attracting, right? And long story be told, he took me to my car, which was scary. And I remember I literally jumped off his car, ran into my car, locked the door, and just cried. And I called one of my friends and I was like, that was my ex. That was my ex in a different form. And I remember talking to my therapist the next day And I was so disappointed and heartbroken in myself. And I was beating myself up. And she was like, do you understand what you just went through? And I was like, yeah, like, what kind of men am I attracting? It's the same exact person. Crazy, right? And she's like, okay, but do you understand that you saw the flags? Oh, yeah, that's true. Do you understand that you kept yourself calm and collect, that you saw everything, that you created boundaries? It was those little small wins that I was like, oh, okay, I see where you're getting with this. And because I was like, this is all I'm going to attract, men like this, men that are broken, men that are liars, men that are cheaters, men that are, like what? And she was like, no, it's just you weren't looking at the flags. You were vulnerable. And she made me realize, like, okay. And that's why I also don't believe that there's a time frame to date, but I think that you should be very cautious as well, because we are vulnerable. And if I hadn't seen any of that and caught all that, I don't think I'd be able to catch that on the next one and the next one. And to see after that, I started dating and it wasn't the same type of guys. So it was literally just becoming aware of their flags, literally their flag, like love bombing someone right away where they give you too much. Like we've said in previous episode, is not okay. There is something. There's a reason why they're like, you're this, you're that, you're amazing, you're incredible, you're this. There's a reason. Okay. There's always a reason. And it could be a girlfriend or a fiance. I don't know. They give you the craziest stories. And let me tell you, I hear a lot of stories and they're all similar with all these men. They have the same stories. Because I hear a lot of my different girlfriend stories and oh my God, I'm like, PTSD. He said that to me too. It's crazy. But you know what? With every dating experience that I've had, there's been lessons behind it. And it's been to continue working on myself, continue healing and avoid these men because Jesus, no. But I do also believe that what in the place that you're in, your energy is what you're going to attract. So if you're at the beginning stages, remember how broken you are, and give yourself that time to truly work on yourself, get to know yourself, get to know what you like and don't like at this stage you're at in life, because you're very different than when you were in that relationship or the last time you were single prior to that relationship, if you've been in long-term relationships, right? And I think that, with the dating comes a lot. Think about it. We're going back to the love situation. You're looking to find a possible partner and you don't want the same type of partner you were with before. So you have to do the work to be able to, I guess, pick a better one, choose a better one, look at the flags, look at the pink, the red, the orange, all of the above, because there's a reason why there's flags. If they're not green, don't even waste your time. Okay. And let's think about it, right? Let's think about it. Let's go back to you pour into everyone. You were there for everyone. You were there for him, right? Who was pouring into you? If there's a breakup, obviously it's because there was something lacking and there was nothing that was poured back into you, right? That was given back into you, that was nurturing you. So if you don't nurture yourself, who's going to nurture you? Who's going to take care of you? Who's going to love you the way you're going to love yourself, that you want to be loved? Let's be honest. And that goes for everything. You have to love yourself before you love your children. And I know that might be contradicting, but let's be honest. If you're not okay and you don't know what true love is, and that's loving yourself, how are you going to love that child like that too? And to me, I have 2 girls. So I want to teach them not the independence and the strong woman and all of that already comes with life. I'm sorry, that's going to make you that. The circumstances of life are going to make that. But to show them how to prioritize themselves and love themselves so no one else can come in and love them any less. No one else can come in and give less than what they give themselves or love themselves. And I had to look at myself and I work every day, like I said, constantly on my healing, on becoming a better person, becoming a better mother, nurturing myself, prioritizing what makes me feel good. To me, having a routine makes me feel good. To me, having a schedule makes me feel good. Hobbies, friends, things that give me happiness, that bring life back into me. Having friends, I didn't have friends prior to my relationship. He was my only friend. And that's why it was also hard, to be alone, because that was a person that, even though it wasn't the relationship that I want now, that's still someone that I confided in. And at that time, he was all I had, and he was my best friend at the time, right? So to go from that to being stripped away, all these emotions of not only did I lose, my partner, I lost a friend, because that was the only person I had in my life. I didn't speak to nobody else outside of that besides at work with women. And he's gone now. So having a social circle, even if you're not, I am what is that called? Extrovert? Yes. So I can make friends anywhere with anybody. I'm a girl's girl, straight up. Woman. That's I have a very strong relationship with women. But you don't have to have so many friends. But if you have a little community of true friends that will help you during your healing, I can't emphasize how important that is, to have a community that will listen to you, to have someone to vent to or even cry to, whether that be your mom, whether that be, your cousin, a friend, it doesn't matter. But having a community after breaking up with someone is so important, because they pour a little bit of life back into you, to be honest. My friends and my family poured life back into me when I had nothing. I was literally dehydrated. I was drowning, didn't have nothing. And having social experiences from just hanging out and laughing. I'll never forget the first time that I hung out with a friend. She invited me over to Friendsgiving. Not only that, it was my friend, but it was her friends. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to Friendsgiving. That's crazy. But little moments like that healed me from the situation that I was living under. And you don't understand how little things like that do so much to you in a time where you're broken, because you do feel broken. I'll never forget, I'm going back to the dating story. I was talking to a guy prior to me dating. Okay, this was just text. And I'll never forget him texting me, and he was very smart, had everything together, but I was broken. I didn't even know how to text. All I had said, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I could tell he wanted substance. He wanted to get to know more of me. But to be honest, I came from such an unhealthy relationship that I didn't even know how to conversate. Simple conversation. It was, what are you doing? What are you doing? And it faded after. And I remember looking at myself and being like, I'm not good enough. I'm broken. Like, literally, my self-esteem was already down. It went even lower. But it's because I wasn't ready. And leaving a relationship, the type of relationship that I left, took a huge toll on everything. My self-esteem, who I was, there was nothing. I was nothing. I've built myself back up. Someone else had that power over me, and it wasn't me. And as I started to work on myself, feed myself, nurture myself, love myself, I started to gain that power back. And I started to strip that person that took that, all that bashing that he would do, all that self-down talk that he would do to me, all that abuse that he would do to me, all the hands that he laid on me, everything that he did to me, I was starting to regain that power back, because he stripped me of that every time he did that. There's different forms of abuse. Mine were just up there. But if your partner ignores you when you're trying to have a conversation about your emotions or what bothers you, that's abuse. Abuse is not just physical, verbal. It's emotional. It's psychological. It's there's different forms of abuse. So let's not just think that, oh, well, he didn't hit me. Because I've heard that before. He didn't hit me, or he didn't yell at me, or he didn't curse at me, but he did not talk to me for 5 days. Or, you know what? He didn't listen to, or he's fighting me because I'm trying to express to him how he hurt my feelings. Simple communication. Do you understand that? Simple communication. That can be the lack of communication can be abuse. The lack of understanding can be abuse, because they can take that to a different level. So understand that abuse is not just he hit me, or he yelled at me, or he cursed at me. He can literally break you down by not telling you that you're not pretty enough. Literally. But you see on his DMs that he's telling somebody else that. And it's crazy how men always want the women that they say they don't want. No, I learned that. Okay. And now, after taking time to myself, I'm able to work on the woman that I want to become. And you know what people say? You glow different after a separation. That's so true. I've never been happier. I've never been more at peace. My skin's clearing up. My hair is growing. I don't have stress in my life that's not needed. Like, do you understand how powerful I feel being alone? I've gotten to work on myself. I've gotten to feed myself, to do things that I never could do before, because I always had to think of somebody else apart from my children. So I've been able to, I would say I'm thriving, glowing like I am 35 years old, and I look the best I've ever looked, feel the best I've ever felt. And it's not about that, but I also feel it internally and mentally. I feel wiser. Everything that happens in life, I look at it different now. And I choose to live a happy life, not a negative life. And I realize that I'm not a victim, I'm a victor of all my consequences. And I went through all of that because I'll be honest with you, I had 5 unhealthy, toxic men in one. And to see where I am at now, 2 years after, and to gain my confidence, my power, and know who I seen is, has been the biggest, to me, that's the biggest peace in my life. That's the biggest, that's happiness. I'm running smoothly. My children are running smoothly. I am able to feed them differently, guide them differently, mother differently. I'm a whole different person than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, especially. A whole different person. And not only appearance-wise, but mentally and emotionally, I'm stronger. Everything that I have been through life has molded me into the woman that I am becoming and working towards. And I wish that a lot of women would see just what they can be capable of if they just loved and poured into themselves. Prioritize yourself. There's no one that's going to do that for you. Not no man, not no friends, not your family. No one can do that for you, but you. And that is the message that Herizon Podcast is about. It's empowering yourself and empowering women. And, you know, I hope that this episode helped a few of you, and, you know, that make sure you prioritize yourself. Dates are fun, but don't take it too serious right now. You're healing. Give yourself time. Give yourself space. Spend time alone and quiet. Honestly, your thoughts are crazy and it's loud and it's noisy at the beginning. But the more time you spend with yourself, the more at peace they become, the more quiet, the more happy they sound. And it's going to go from that loud, chaotic chaos in your head to calmness, happiness, joy. And I am living proof of that. And it's something that I work on every day. But there's nothing that you can overcome if you don't put your mind at a different perspective. It's literally all how you look at things. So don't be a victim, be a victor. and, look at things in a positive way. Because I'll be honest, I can sit here and tell you I had such a shitty man and use him as an excuse and use all my life's trauma and all my experiences that I've been through and me closing my business and me, I can sit here and cry you a sad story. I can sit here and say, oh my God, like, I just can't do it. I just can't continue to live. Life's been so hard. And you know what? I choose not to live like that. I choose to look at positive, because I have if there's anything that I learned after that relationship and spending all my youth there, okay, is that the rest of the time that I have on this earth, I want to live it the happiest, more joyous, peaceful life. And that is me to create. That is for me to create. I want to be able to have a happy rest of my life, a peaceful rest of my life, a safe rest of my life. But I am the one to create that. I choose who comes into my life. I choose who to give my energy to. I choose how to look at things. And I rather be positive about it no matter what life throws at me and overcome it, because there's something to learn from that. And there's a purpose for everything. Of course, we have to be very cautious of the decisions we make in life, and that comes with healing and getting to know yourself and your surroundings. But thanks, guys, for listening. This is episode 9, the first episode of 2025. I hope you guys liked it. I know it was a little bit deep, but I hope you guys got some good things out of it. Thank you for listening. Can't wait to see you guys next episode 10. Oh my God, we're going to be at episode 10. That's crazy. But thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe, like, share. We see all those tags and we love our community. Thank you so much.